The morning sun glinted off the polished hoods of luxury vehicles as Marcus Jackson pulled his modest sedan into the parking lot of Prestige Motors. At 28, Marcus had worked tirelessly at his tech consulting business, saving every penny. Today was the day he'd finally reward himself with the car of his dreams. Marcus straightened his crisp blue button-down shirt and adjusted his designer watch, a graduation gift from his father. He took a deep breath, feeling a flutter of excitement in his chest. The dealership's glass facade reflected his image, a confident young black man ready to make a significant purchase. "You've earned this," Marcus whispered to himself, stepping out of his car. The showroom doors slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the air smelled of new leather and ambition. Spotlights illuminated vehicles that cost more than most people's annual salaries. A Ferrari caught Marcus's eye immediately, brilliant red and sleek, promising freedom and speed. 3 salespeople stood chatting near the reception desk. Marcus noticed how their eyes flicked toward him, then away again. He'd experienced that look before: assessment, judgment, dismissal. But Marcus squared his shoulders and walked forward, his shoes clicking against the marble floor. He had every right to be here. "Good morning," he called out, voice steady and clear. "I'm here to buy a car." The salespeople exchanged glances. 2 of them suddenly found paperwork requiring immediate attention. The third, a tall man with slicked-back blonde hair and a name tag reading Tyler, approached with a tight smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Hey there, buddy. Can I help you?" Tyler's tone was condescending, his gaze moving from Marcus's face to his shoes and back, making a visible assessment. "Yes, I'm interested in the new GTS model," Marcus said, pointing toward the showroom centerpiece. Tyler chuckled, the sound cutting through the air like a knife. "That's our premium line. Starts at $175,000. He emphasized the price, speaking slowly as if Marcus might not comprehend large numbers. "Maybe I could show you something more appropriate? We have some used models out back." Marcus felt heat rise to his face. "I'm aware of the price point. I'd like a test drive, please." Tyler shifted his weight, blocking Marcus's path to the vehicle. "Listen, we don't do test drives without serious buyers. Financial pre-approval, you know? Nothing personal, just policy." He smiled again, this time revealing too many teeth. "What exactly do you do for work?" Marcus stood taller. "I own Jackson Tech Solutions. We specialize in cybersecurity consulting." "Right," Tyler said, dragging out the word. "And I'm the King of England. Look, we're pretty busy today with appointments. Real buyers." His emphasis on real hung in the air between them. "Maybe come back with your employer? Someone who can help with the finances." By now, other customers had begun to notice the exchange. A couple near the sports cars turned to watch. The showroom's ambient music seemed to fade as Tyler's voice grew louder. "Sir, I need you to understand what kind of establishment this is," Tyler announced, projecting his voice for the benefit of everyone present. "These vehicles represent luxury and exclusivity. They're not for everyone." His eyes darted meaningfully to Marcus's hands. "Perhaps you're in the wrong place." Marcus's throat tightened. A wealthy-looking white couple nearby whispered to each other, their eyes on him. The woman clutched her purse closer to her body. "I can afford any car in this showroom," Marcus stated firmly, pulling out his phone. "I can show you my bank statements right now." Tyler laughed, the sound echoing across the showroom. "Listen, pal. We get guys like you in here all the time. Taking pictures for social media, pretending to shop. Wasting our time." He gestured to a security guard who had materialized near the entrance. "Maybe you'd be more comfortable at the Toyota dealership down the street? They have payment plans that might work for someone in your situation." The humiliation burned through Marcus like fire. Other salespeople were smirking now. A young family quickly ushered their children away from him, as if poverty, or blackness, might be contagious. Marcus stood frozen, caught between rage and mortification, his dreams of celebrating his success crumbling under the weight of prejudice. Just then, the showroom doors swished open. A distinguished black man in his 60s, wearing an impeccably tailored charcoal suit, strode in. Robert Jackson, CEO of Global Innovations Corporation and one of the wealthiest businessmen in the state, surveyed the scene with sharp eyes. "Dad?" Marcus called out, surprise momentarily replacing his anger. "What are you doing here?" Robert's face broke into a warm smile. "Your assistant mentioned you were finally buying that car you've been eyeing. Thought I'd surprise you." His smile faded as he registered the tension in the room. "Is there a problem here?" The atmosphere shifted instantly. Tyler's face drained of color as recognition dawned. Everyone in the business world knew Robert Jackson, his company was featured in Fortune 500 lists and his philanthropic work made regular headlines. "Mr. Jackson," Tyler stammered, "Robert Jackson?" "I had no idea, we weren't expecting." Robert moved to stand beside his son, placing a protective hand on Marcus's shoulder. "Weren't expecting what? That my son would be shopping here? Or that he could afford to?" His voice was quiet but carried an unmistakable edge of authority. The security guard who had been approaching suddenly found something fascinating to look at on the ceiling. The whispering couple were now pretending absolute fascination with a brochure. Robert turned to Marcus. "Son, what happened here?" Marcus recounted the experience quietly, his voice steady despite the lingering humiliation. As he spoke, Robert's expression darkened, his jaw tightening with each detail. "I want to speak with the owner," Robert announced, his voice resonating through the now silent showroom. "Now." A flurry of activity erupted as employees scrambled to locate their boss. Within moments, a balding man in an expensive suit hurried out from a back office, his face plastered with a nervous smile. "Mr. Jackson. What an honor. I'm William Peterson, the owner of Prestige Motors. How may I assist you today?" Robert's gaze was steely. "Your employee just humiliated my son in front of your customers. Assumed he couldn't afford a car because of the color of his skin." Peterson's smile faltered. "There must be some misunderstanding. Tyler is one of our best, there's no misunderstanding," Robert cut him off. "I heard it myself. And I see the security guard you called to escort my son out." Robert stepped closer to Peterson, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper that somehow carried to every corner of the showroom. "My company spends millions each year on corporate vehicles. Our executives receive luxury car allowances. I personally sit on boards with the CEOs of 3 major automotive corporations." He pointed to Tyler. That man didn't see a customer. He saw a black man and made assumptions. Peterson began sweating visibly. "Mr. Jackson, please, I assure you this isn't how we do business, isn't it?" Robert's voice thundered now. "My son is a successful entrepreneur who can buy any car here without financing. Yet your salesman suggested he get a used Toyota on a payment plan. What would you call that, Mr. Peterson?" The confrontation had drawn a crowd. Customers had stopped pretending not to listen and were openly watching. Several had phones out, recording. Peterson paled as he noticed the recording devices. "Mr. Jackson, please step into my office where we can discuss this privately." "No," Robert said firmly. "This humiliation happened publicly. The resolution will be public too." He pulled out his phone. "I'm calling my legal team. We'll be filing a discrimination complaint with the state attorney general's office." His fingers moved across the screen. "And I'm contacting the CEO of your parent company. James and I play golf every month." Tyler stepped forward, panic evident in his voice. "Sir, please, I didn't mean," "You meant every word," Marcus interrupted, finding his voice again. The quiet dignity in his tone silenced the room more effectively than his father's thunder. You saw my skin and decided I didn't belong here. Don't insult us further by denying it. Peterson wrung his hands. What can we do to make this right? Robert placed his phone on the counter with deliberate calm. First, Tyler is fired. Today. Publicly. Peterson nodded frantically. Consider it done. Second, every employee at every branch of Prestige Motors will undergo anti-discrimination training, conducted by professionals that I will help select. Of course, absolutely. Third, you will establish a diversity scholarship for underprivileged youth interested in automotive careers. My foundation will match your funding. Peterson swallowed hard. Yes, that's certainly something we can arrange. And finally, Robert smiled thinly, my son will be purchasing the vehicle he came for. At invoice price. With your personal apology. The showroom was so quiet you could hear the distant hum of traffic outside. 6 months later, Marcus pulled his gleaming red GTS into the parking lot of Prestige Motors for its first scheduled maintenance. The transformation was striking. Peterson had not only kept his word but had exceeded expectations. The staff was noticeably more diverse. A large banner advertised the Jackson Foundation Automotive Scholarship, featuring photos of its first recipients, bright young faces from underrepresented communities. Inside, Marcus was greeted warmly by a young black woman at the service desk. Mr. Jackson. We've been expecting you. She handed him a tablet. Your father's foundation has changed things around here. I'm one of 4 new hires from neighborhoods that never would have had these opportunities before. As Marcus signed the service form, Peterson himself appeared, extending his hand. Marcus. Good to see you. How's the car running? Beautifully, Marcus replied, noting the genuine respect in Peterson's eyes, not deference born of fear, but something more profound. Something like understanding. Later that evening, over dinner with his father, Marcus recounted the experience. You know, Dad, what happened that day was terrible, but look at the change it sparked. Robert nodded thoughtfully. Sometimes that's how progress works, son. Not through speeches or policies alone, but through moments of confrontation that force people to see the truth. Marcus raised his glass. To having the last laugh. His father smiled, the wisdom of decades in his eyes. And to making sure the joke brings others up rather than putting them down. They clinked glasses, their laughter warm in the restaurant's soft light, the sound of victory, not just for themselves, but for those who would follow.